forest was still, heavy with the silence that comes before a storm. Jack walked briskly, his boots crunching leaves beneath him. A sudden scream split the air, sharp and unnatural. He froze, his breath caught in his chest. His heart pounded as the sound echoed, dying slowly among the trees. Jack said, "No one should be here this late." His voice trembled, breaking the silence with fragile courage. He turned in a slow circle, scanning the shadows. Branches swayed overhead, though no wind stirred. A sickening chill crawled down his spine. The air pressed against him, thick and damp, as though the woods were holding their breath. Jack muttered, "I'm not alone." The whispers seemed to dissolve into the darkness, carried off by unseen ears. From behind, the faintest echo of footsteps crept closer. He spun, but the path stretched empty, swallowed by night. His mind raced, fear gnawed, and the scream lingered like a curse in his bones. Jack pushed forward along the narrowing path, though every step felt heavier than the last. He whispered, "Keep moving, don't stop." The forest clung to him with suffocating silence. Even the insects dared not stir. A thick mist curled against his ankles, cold and damp. The echo of footsteps returned, soft but deliberate. Jack spun, his pulse hammering in his ears, yet nothing stirred. The emptiness behind him mocked his fear. He muttered, "It's in my head. It has to be." But the truth was undeniable. Something walked with him, unseen and patient, closing in with every stride he took toward the darkness. The deeper Jack moved, the thicker the trees grew, their twisted branches clawing at the fading light. The sound came again, louder, matching his rhythm. He stopped abruptly, silence wrapping around him. His breathing filled the void. Jack said, "Show yourself." His voice cracked, shattering into the emptiness. A crow screamed above, wings thrashing against branches, scattering leaves like black shards. The forest felt alive, pulsing with menace. Jack stepped back, his body trembling. He muttered, "This isn't right. It wants me to know it's here." The words hung heavy in the damp air, swallowed by shadows that never stopped watching. Jack quickened his pace, forcing his legs to move despite the dread. The forest pressed closer, shadows shifting like predators. A faint whisper brushed against his ear, soft but deliberate. Jack gasped, whipping his head to the side. "No, no one's there," he whispered shakily. His breath puffed white in the chill, vanishing instantly. The silence deepened, unnatural. His hands shook as he gripped the straps of his pack tighter. Somewhere behind, a twig cracked sharply. Jack froze, fear slashing through him. His body screamed to run, but the path stretched endlessly, an unrelenting tunnel of dark trees waiting to swallow him whole. The forest was no longer silent. It breathed with him, exhaling whispers in every direction. Jack's mind raced, replaying the scream that had started it all. "Why here? Why me?" he murmured, his voice hollow. Each step became a battle against the urge to flee. The footsteps followed, never rushing, never slowing, a predator savoring its prey. His chest burned as his breath shortened, fog clouding before him. He stopped once more, refusing to run. Jack shouted into the void, "Come out!" His words cracked, echoing through the forest, but only the dark answered back, thick and unyielding, wrapping him tighter in dread. Jack trudged deeper, but the weight of memory dragged heavier than the mist. The woods reminded him of nights long past, when nightmares felt real. He muttered, "Not again." His chest tightened, recalling the night he lost his brother. The forest had claimed him too, vanished into the same shadows now stalking Jack. His heart cracked under the memory, each step an echo of grief. The silence mocked him with reminders of helplessness. He whispered, "I couldn't save him." The words tasted bitter. A branch snapped nearby. Jack's eyes flared wide, his grief twisting into fear. The past and present had merged, and the forest knew his weakness. The forest pressed closer, choking the air with dampness. Jack stumbled, gripping a trunk for balance. His fingers scraped bark, grounding him in reality. Yet the memories pulled harder. He remembered the scream that night, his brother's final cry. He said, "I ran then, I can't run now." His voice broke into the hollow space. A crow startled, wings cutting the silence like knives. Jack's breath came ragged, his body trembling. The footsteps sounded again, heavy, deliberate, cruelly patient. Jack spun, but the shadows stretched endless, offering no answers. His grief weighed heavier than his fear, each memory sharper than claws. The wind stirred faintly, though no branches swayed. Jack knew it wasn't the wind, but something breathing just beyond sight. He whispered, "It feeds on fear." Thought struck deep, as if the forest whispered it into him. He remembered his brother's wide eyes before disappearing, swallowed by unseen horror. Jack's knees weakened, body screaming to collapse. He clenched fists, forcing himself forward. "I won't break," he gasped. His voice faltered, but the determination cut through the mist. The footsteps resumed, pacing him, mocking his every stride. He pushed harder, but the echo never faded. It wanted him broken, and it was close. The path narrowed until branches scraped his shoulders, clawing like skeletal fingers. Jack flinched but forced himself to continue. His breath rasped, heavy and shallow. He muttered, "You won't take me too." His voice cracked like glass. Every shadow seemed alive, twisting with hunger. The footsteps grew louder, now just beyond the veil of mist. A sick laugh echoed in his head, though the forest was silent. Jack's eyes darted wildly, searching for an escape. None existed. His chest heaved as dread crushed his resolve. He whispered to the dark, "What do you want?" But silence answered, thicker than the fog. Jack stopped suddenly, chest heaving, sweat freezing against his skin. The silence returned, suffocating in its weight. He clenched his jaw, eyes blazing. "You can't have me," he spat into the darkness. His defiance shattered the stillness, but no reply came. Only the echo of his own words lingered. He stood taller, though fear burned through him. For the first time, he felt the forest hesitate, as if listening. His brother's scream haunted his ears, but Jack would not repeat the same fate. He whispered, "I will fight." The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, as though the forest understood his vow. Jack's pace slowed as the forest seemed to twist around him, the path bending into shapes he didn't recognize. His pulse pounded, but curiosity fought his fear. He muttered, "This isn't the same trail." His voice cracked against the thick fog. The footsteps were closer now, no longer hidden, sensing with his every move. He stopped suddenly, listening. Silence. He breathed shallowly, praying it had ended. Then, a faint whistle drifted through the trees, sharp and hollow. Jack whispered, "Who's there?" But only his words answered back. The whistle grew louder, weaving into the sound of footsteps, circling him like a predator waiting for him to fall. Jack stumbled forward, heart hammering. The forest was no longer quiet. It whispered around him, voices tangled with the mist. He pressed his palms over his ears, but the whispers sank deeper, gnawing at his thoughts. "Stop," he begged, his voice fragile. A shadow darted between the trees, too fast to see clearly. Jack gasped, his breath choking. His legs carried him faster, though the weight of fear dragged heavy. Behind him the footsteps grew quicker, mocking his sprint. He turned suddenly, desperate to see. The path stretched into darkness, empty. Jack whispered, "It wants me broken." His voice quivered like the fog itself. The mist thickened until Jack could barely see his own hands. His chest heaved, lungs burning from panic. He whispered, "I can't outrun it." His voice trembled, swallowed by the dense dark. A flicker of movement passed close. A hand, pale and long-fingered, vanishing into fog. Jack recoiled, heart hammering. He stumbled back, eyes wide, lips trembling. "Stay away," he shouted weakly. His words carried no power. The footsteps resumed, this time deliberately louder, cruelly slow. His fear was no longer imagined. Something was here, hunting him, feeding on his collapse. Jack whispered, "Why won't you show yourself?" But silence mocked him. Jack's legs weakened, nearly giving way, but he forced himself upright. His breath came in short, broken bursts. He whispered, "It wants me afraid. It feeds on it." His words cracked. He stumbled forward, gripping his jacket tight as though it shielded him. Another shadow moved, closer, darker than before. Jack froze. The forest was alive, shifting with intent. A low groan echoed, drawn out like a warning. He muttered, "I can't do this," his eyes brimming. Yet his body moved, step by step. The footsteps matched perfectly, deliberate, as if mocking every move he made. The dread sank deeper, suffocating his will. The whispers returned, clearer this time, shaping into words. "You belong here," they hissed, voices layered in the mist. Jack gasped, shaking his head violently. "No, you're not real," he shouted, his voice cracking. He staggered, knees buckling, but forced himself upright. His brother's scream echoed faintly in the distance, a cruel reminder. Jack's chest ached as he whispered, "Not again, I won't lose." But the shadows closed tighter, unseen yet suffocating. The footsteps were no longer behind him. They were beside him, pacing him like a ghostly companion. Jack froze, trembling, realizing the horror had moved closer than ever before. Jack's legs trembled as the footsteps pressed closer, but then a beam of light cut the dark. He shielded his eyes, heart pounding. A voice called, "Jack? What the hell are you doing out here?" Relief collided with fear. It was Daniel, his longtime friend, the one who never believed his stories. Jack gasped, "It's here. It's following me." Daniel, 33, skeptical and steady, frowned. "You're chasing ghosts again." His tone stung. Jack grabbed his arm, desperate. "You don't understand. It's real." Daniel shook his head, laughing nervously. "The only thing real is your paranoia." But the forest whispered otherwise, deep and alive. Jack's voice cracked as he pleaded, "Please, you have to believe me." Daniel sighed, shaking his head. "You've been running from shadows since your brother disappeared. You can't keep blaming the woods." The words sliced deep, raw with truth. Jack's fists clenched. "I heard it. I saw something in the fog." Daniel lifted the light, scanning the trees. Nothing moved. "See? Empty. Just trees and your imagination." His tone carried irritation, but his eyes flickered uneasily. Jack whispered, "It's playing with us." Daniel laughed, hollow and sharp. "It's your mind playing with you." Yet the air shifted colder, heavier, betraying him. The silence returned, pressing so thick it felt alive. Jack whispered, "Listen, just listen." Daniel tilted his head reluctantly. For a moment, only their breathing filled the void. Then, faintly, the footsteps echoed, slow, deliberate, circling them. Daniel stiffened, jaw tight. "Could be an animal," he muttered, voice shaking slightly. Jack's eyes flared. "Animals don't walk in step." The sound drew closer, a rhythm that mocked their stillness. Daniel swallowed, gripping the flashlight tighter. "We'll find tracks. There's an explanation." Jack hissed, "You don't get it. It doesn't leave tracks." The footsteps stopped abruptly. Silence. Daniel's face paled, though he said nothing. The fog thickened, swallowing the beam of Daniel's light. Jack muttered, "It's closer now." Daniel's lips tightened, his calm breaking. "We're just lost. Nothing more." His denial trembled. Jack's voice rose, desperate. "You still think that this is in my head?" A low whisper echoed through the trees, unintelligible but chilling. Both men froze. Daniel's knuckles whitened on the flashlight. Jack whispered, "It knows you're here too." Daniel tried to laugh but failed, his voice cracking. Voices carry in the woods. His words lacked conviction. Jack stared into the shadows, trembling. "No, it wants us both now." The forest answered with silence. Jack stepped closer, voice low but fierce. If you don't believe me now, you will die out here. Daniel's eyes narrowed, anger flashing to hide his fear. I'm not letting your paranoia drag me down. Jack's body shook, torn between rage and dread. Suddenly, the footsteps thundered again, louder, circling like wolves. Daniel spun the light wildly, panic breaking his mask. Jack whispered, "Do you hear it now?" His tone was broken, pleading. Daniel's face drained of color, though his pride kept him silent. The forest shifted, pressing them into its grip. Jack muttered, "It won't stop until one of us breaks." The fog parted slightly, and a cloaked figure emerged, standing at the edge of the path. Jack staggered back. Daniel raised the flashlight, and the beam caught the stranger's face. A woman, 40, stern and unreadable, eyes sharp as glass. Jack whispered, "Who are you?" She replied, calm and low, "Someone who's been waiting." Daniel scoffed, "Another lunatic in the woods." But Jack's breath quickened. He felt the weight of truth in her presence. The woman stepped closer, her movements steady, unshaken by the dread choking the forest. "It knows you," she said softly, "and it will not stop until you know it too." Jack's voice shook. "You've seen it, haven't you?" The woman's lips curled faintly. "I've lived with it longer than you can imagine." Daniel stepped forward, shaking his head. "This is madness. She's feeding your fears." His words cut sharp, but his hands trembled. Jack ignored him, eyes locked on the woman. "What does it want?" he asked. Her gaze darkened. "It wants what it's always wanted, your surrender." The forest seemed to thrum with her words. Daniel barked a laugh, hollow and brittle. "Stories. That's all." Yet, even as he spoke, the shadows swelled around them, listening. Jack whispered, "She's right." The woman raised a hand, her voice low but commanding. It thrives on fear, and it knows yours well." Jack's knees weakened. Daniel shook his head, anger flaring. "Stop filling his head with lies." The woman's eyes snapped to him. "You already hear it, don't you? Those steps are not his imagination." Daniel froze, lips tightening, flashlight trembling in his grip. Jack whispered, "She's telling the truth." The footsteps returned, slow and deliberate, circling all three. The woman closed her eyes briefly, as if listening. "It's closer than ever," she said softly. Jack's breath caught, and Daniel's silence betrayed his denial. Jack stepped closer to the woman, desperation burning. "Tell me how to stop it." Her gaze was steady, cryptic. "To stop it, you must face it, but you won't survive unchanged." Daniel snapped. "Enough? This is manipulation." His words carried fear, disguised as anger. The woman tilted her head slightly. "You fear truth more than the darkness itself." Daniel's jaw tightened, his face pale. Jack's eyes brimmed with terror, but also resolve. "If facing it is the only way, then I will." The forest pulsed colder, shadows twisting as if stirred by his vow. The woman whispered, "Then it begins." The woman turned slowly, her cloak blending with the shadows. "Follow, if you dare," she said softly, moving deeper into the forest. Jack hesitated only a moment before stepping after her, breath trembling but resolve clear. Daniel cursed under his breath. "This is insanity," he muttered, but he followed, unwilling to be left alone. The forest shifted as they moved, trees bending inward, the path narrowing like a throat. Jack whispered, "It knows we're coming." The woman replied calmly, "It's been waiting." The footsteps resumed again, louder now, as though welcoming them. Jack's skin crawled. The hunt was no longer hidden. It was leading them forward. The woman led them into a clearing, the fog lifting to reveal a circle of stones. Jack froze, recognizing the place from childhood nightmares. His breath trembled. Daniel whispered, "What is this?" The woman's eyes glimmered. "The truth." Jack's chest tightened as he whispered, I've been here before. Memories clawed at him, flashes of his brother's face, his scream swallowed by the same circle. Daniel's voice cracked. Jack, you've lost it. Jack shook his head violently. No, this is where it began. The footsteps emerged louder, surrounding them in unison. The woman whispered, and where it must end. Jack's mind reeled as the footsteps circled faster, echoing like a heartbeat. He shouted, "What do you want from me?" The forest groaned, branches bending as if bowing to unseen power. The woman's tone was calm but heavy. "It's tied to you, Jack, always has been." Daniel growled, "Don't listen to her." Jack shook, tears burning. "My brother, it took him, didn't it?" The woman lowered her gaze. "Yes. And now it wants you." Daniel snapped. "This is insane." But even as he spoke, the air thickened, a shape flickering in the shadows, tall, indistinct, impossibly near. Jack dropped to his knees, clutching his head as whispers flooded his skull. His brother's scream echoed, morphing into his own. "Why me?" he gasped. The woman's voice cut through. "Because you carry its mark." Daniel barked a laugh, broken and hollow. "He's cursed himself with guilt, that's all." But the figure stepped forward, closer, its form bending reality with every move. Jack trembled, eyes wide, staring. "I see it," he whispered. The woman nodded gravely. "Now you understand." Daniel shook his head, but his face was pale as paper. The footsteps pounded once more, stopping just behind Jack. The woman stepped forward, voice low. "You can face it, or you can fall." Jack's voice cracked. "How?" She whispered, "You must give it what it wants, your fear, your truth." Jack's chest heaved, his hands trembling. "If I do, will it stop?" The woman's eyes flickered with sorrow. "It never stops, but it may let you live." Daniel snapped, "Don't listen." His panic broke through his mask. Jack turned, eyes blazing. "You heard it too, Daniel. Stop pretending." Silence fell heavy. The figure's form towered in the mist now, edges twisting, faceless yet watching. Jack whispered, "Then I face it." Jack stepped forward into the circle, his body quaking but his eyes burning with resolve. The footsteps ceased. Silence smothered the clearing, thick and crushing. He whispered, "Take me, but leave the others." Daniel shouted, "Don't!" The woman's gaze darkened, but she said nothing. The shadow leaned closer, its presence suffocating. Jack's breath rattled as the whispers filled his skull. He saw flashes of his brother, screaming, reaching. Tears streaked his face as he shouted, "I'm not afraid of you." His words split the night. The shadow recoiled slightly, the ground trembling. Jack collapsed to his knees, spent, but alive. Jack collapsed to the ground, chest heaving, the echo of his defiance still trembling in the air. The forest had gone eerily silent, even the whispers gone. Daniel rushed forward, gripping Jack's shoulder, eyes wide. "It's over, right?" he asked, his voice breaking. Jack lifted his head slowly, eyes hollow. "No, it's never over." The mysterious ally stood at the edge of the circle, her face unreadable. "You've weakened it, but it will wait." Jack's lips trembled. "It's tied to me. It always was." The silence thickened, suffocating. Though the shadow had faded, its absence felt worse than its presence. Daniel's voice rose with forced hope. "We'll leave. We'll go now, and none of this will matter." Jack shook his head, his voice hoarse. "You don't understand. It follows." The woman's eyes glinted, sharp with sorrow. "It doesn't end here. This place is only its doorway." Daniel's face twisted in disbelief. "No, I won't live my life afraid of shadows." Jack looked at him, eyes dark. "You don't get a choice." The forest stirred, branches creaking overhead. A faint echo of footsteps rippled again, distant but deliberate. Jack whispered, "It's waiting." Daniel's flashlight flickered weakly, as though agreeing with the silence. The clearing grew colder, their breath visible in the still air. Jack whispered. I gave it everything. And it's still here. The woman's tone was heavy. It feeds but never starves. You've only bought time. Daniel shook his head violently. No. No more. He turned, storming out of the circle. Jack shouted, Wait! But Daniel disappeared into the fog. Moments later a scream ripped through the trees, sudden and violent. Jack staggered forward, but the woman blocked him. Her voice was sharp. He chose denial, and it claimed him. Jack's stomach twisted, horror burning through him. The forest swallowed Daniel whole. Jack's knees buckled, grief crushing him. It took him, like it took my brother. The woman's expression softened faintly. The forest always takes what denies it. Jack's voice cracked. Then it'll take me too. She stepped closer, her hand hovering near his shoulder. Not if you live with it. Survive knowing it's there, but never forget. Jack's breath shook. That's not living, she whispered. It's the only way. The silence deepened, pressing cold against their skin. The footsteps returned faintly, circling once more, slower this time, as if savoring its victory. Jack lowered his head, tears falling into the dirt. The woman turned, her cloak blending into the mist. Leave before it grows hungry again, she warned. Jack stood slowly, trembling, his face pale but hardened. It'll follow me, he whispered. She nodded. Yes, always. He stepped out of the circle, each movement heavy. The forest seemed to lean closer, trees arching as though to watch. Jack muttered, I'm marked. His words sank into the silence. Primal sound followed, footsteps, soft, measured, just behind him. Jack froze, his breath sharp. Slowly, he turned, but the path stretched empty. His lips quivered. It's still here. The forest answered with silence.